Hey folks, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. I'm Deneen Borelli and Dr. Tom Borelli is in the house, bringing you the truth in black and white. Well, another edition of Democrats Think You're Stupid. They think you're stupid, Mr. and Miss America, and everyone else, they think you're stupid. Today's episode is another edition of Democrats Think You're Stupid. Gee, it's election time. Well, Pelosi wants Biden to secure the border all of a sudden. Imagine that. Wow, you're laughing, Dr. Tom, and we haven't even gotten into it yet. But yeah, suddenly, poof, Democrats are worried about illegal immigration. Wow. Just another example of Democrats think you're stupid. Absolutely. Biden and Pelosi. Yo, it's been almost 2 years, dealing with the flood of illegal immigrants coming across our border. But now they want to talk about doing something about it. Does anybody really think this has to do with the elections in a couple of weeks? I don't know. We'll let you decide, folks. But yeah, it does. How stupid do they think we are, Dr. Tom?
Deneen, apparently they think we're really stupid and they're counting on their low information voters to bail them out in the upcoming midterm elections. We're only a few weeks away here.
Yep.
So clearly the Democrats are in panic mode, which they seem to be a lot these days. But anyway, in this episode of Reigniting Liberty, Deneen and I are going to give you the truth, always in black and white, about the sudden conversion of Democrats, Pelosi and Biden, now suddenly interested in securing the southern border. Imagine that. We're going to discuss why they are doing it, what they are doing, the political implications of their last gasp effort here. And again, the election is coming up, and this is what they're concerned about. So obviously, we're going to talk about the timing of this event. It's just unbelievable. How many times do I have to say unbelievable? It's just so shocking. But anyway, believe it or not, Speaker Nancy Pelosi was in New York City recently, and while she was there, she said that we need to secure our border. Biden needs to help us secure the border, and the reason why is because local communities are having trouble dealing with the flood of illegal immigrants across the country. Let's listen to Pelosi.
It is, again, as I said at the end of my earlier remarks, what we must do in our country is to have comprehensive immigration reform. We all know that we must secure our border. That's our responsibility as a country. We also must respect those seeking asylum for appropriate reasons. But we also must understand the impact on communities.
Yeah, Deneen, it really is shocking to hear Pelosi recognize that we have essentially unsecured border and it needs to be secured and that Biden needs to do something about it. Hello? Aren't you the Speaker of the House?
Yeah.
Again, these people are just totally shameless. And the big aspect here is it is impacting local communities around the country, and it's generating news around the country. And that's what has the Democrats nervous because of the election again in a few weeks. The reality is Democrats are being forced to address this because of the actions of red state governors, like Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, who are busing illegal immigrants to cities around the country, but particularly in New York City. It's a huge problem in New York City because in New York City, there's a right to shelter policy, meaning that anyone who enters the city has to be held in some sort of shelter if they want it. And the flood of illegal immigrants is overwhelming the New York City system. And
Big
hence,
time. Yeah.
they are in a panic. Now, as our listeners and viewers know, Deneen and I made a visit down to the Bronx, or I should say, as usually, the Bronx, where Mayor Adams was constructing a huge tent city in Orchard Beach parking lot to house and process some of these illegal immigrants. But then the strange thing happened, it rained. And it flooded the parking lot. So most of that construction is now off the charts and is now moved to Randall's Island in New York City. The New York City shelter system is totally overcrowded. So not are they trying to process these individuals in these tent cities and probably hold them there for a while, there are a number of illegal immigrants who now reside in hotels in Staten Island. They have totally filled these hotels. And some of these illegal immigrants have nothing but literally the shirts on their backs. So now they're walking around Staten Island, knocking on doors, asking for food and for clothes. So this is now a big political issue in New York City, and hence news coverage is covering this to a pretty high degree, I might add, and that is creating political pressure on Democrats.
Well, yeah, Dr. Tom, this is a really big mess indeed. Folks going door to door in these neighborhoods. This is from the New York Post. Migrants bust to New York City hotel, going door to door asking for help. You know, these illegal immigrants are staying at the Staten Island Inn, Holiday Inn, and Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott. But as we just pointed out, they have nothing. They don't have anything, like you said, but the shirts on their backs. And it's getting cold. Winter is coming. New York City public schools, Dr. Tom, are struggling. From the New York Post, New York City schools struggle to cope with influx of 5,500 migrant kids. This is just unbelievable. So we just mentioned people going door to door, asking for help. Those folks in those neighborhoods had no idea that these people were being housed in the hotels within their communities. And now you have the New York City schools being overrun with these children, the illegal immigrants, the children. They don't speak English, Dr. Tom. They don't speak English. One school in Manhattan has only one certified bilingual teacher. The illegal immigrant children don't speak English. Here's a quote from the New York Post story. "We've all got migrant students in our classrooms. The teachers don't speak English. There's no resources helping us right now. It's a very challenging situation." End quote. Parents are outraged. I mean, why not? These classrooms are only but so big. They've gotten bigger with these additional children. They're dumbing down the lessons because they're trying to teach the children that belong there and trying to do something with the illegal immigrant children who don't speak English once again. So, I mean, how does that dynamic even play out? It's a big mess.
Denny, two things strike me from what you just described. The first is the fact that you have to wonder, you have now parents in Manhattan and other parts of the New York City who are outraged about what's going on with respect to their children's education. You have to wonder, who did they vote for?
Sure.
Who did they vote for? As we've discussed over the last 2 years, following the pandemic and during the pandemic, it has become frighteningly clear that who you vote for can affect your life and your livelihood. And in this case, it can affect your children with respect to education. And following the pandemic, a lot of school children have already fallen behind because of remote learning and things of that nature. Now they have bigger class sizes. And as you mentioned, they're dumbing down the curriculum because you have children who can't speak English in the classroom, and there's more children to deal with. Right. So there's a big impact right there. But for these parents, look in the mirror and ask yourself, who did I vote for and who is responsible for this? Yep. The other issue that comes to mind, as you mentioned, you rattled off 3 or 4 hotels in Staten Island that are now full of illegal immigrants. What happens if I have a business meeting in Staten Island? Where do I need to stay?
Nobody cares, Tom. Nobody cares. Come on. Nobody
What
cares.
happens to supply and demand? Let's say I have a hotel that's a little bit further away. Well, maybe I could boost the price because there's more people seeking rooms in my hotel. Mm-hmm. So there's another economic consequence to the downside.
Well, I was also reading the employees at these hotels. They had no idea that this was going to take place. So, right. I mean, it's just...
And, you know, to a certain extent, you have to kind of feel for the owners of these hotels. What are you going to tell Big Brother, Eric Adams? No. That ain't going to happen.
I don't know. I mean,
they'll come back and, you know, walk in with the health inspector likely and close down give you citations for having an unclean restaurant or something. So, you know, it's very difficult to fight City Hall. But those are just, you know, a couple of things I wanted to mention with direct impact of what's going on in New York City. And as we've discussed before, the Biden open border policy has been horrendous. Just look at the numbers. There's over 1 million illegal immigrants currently in the United States that we know of because of catch and release. 2 million have been encountered. 1 million were released, and they are waiting in the United States until they have their deportation hearing. Who knows how many years that's going to take, and who knows if they'll even show up.
Yep.
And then there's the something like 900,000 gotaways. That's the estimate number of illegal immigrants that just ran over the border and were not encountered by Border Patrol. So essentially, we have 2 million illegal immigrants throughout the United States. And for context, there are states in our country that don't have a population of 2 million.
Yep.
So think about that for a second. And as the New York City example shows, the huge surge of illegal immigrants takes economic resources. These people need to be fed. They need to be clothed. If they fall, get hurt, get sick, where are they going to go? They're going to go to the emergency room.
Yep.
And who pays
someplace
for
to
that?
Stay. Yeah.
And who pays for that? So again, those are just some of the numbers. And just to, back that up, this is from the Texas Tribune, quote, federal immigration agents have recorded 2.1 million encounters at the southwest border, a record number for the first 11 months of fiscal 2022, which ended September 30th. 2.1 million. Unbelievable. Wow. And what's really also ironic about all this, now Pelosi's calling for border security, but I don't remember her being upset about those midnight flights coming into regional airports, like the one we went to in Westchester County and followed 2 busloads of individuals on separate occasions, one to New Jersey, one to upstate New York. I don't remember hearing Pelosi or even any of the Democrats complaining about that. And the reason why is because that was secret.
Yes.
It was in a dark cover of night.
How dare you do
Now these,
investigative journalism,
yeah, that's
Dr.
right,
Tom?
us, right?
How dare you?
How dare us, right?
Bad,
Exposed,
Dr.
right?
Tom. Bad.
That's us.
Yeah, didn't hear anything from any of them is correct. Adams, Hochul, none of them. And this is their state where they were flying them into. I know.
Right, but now the busloads are coming in the daylight.
Yeah.
And there's cameras filming these illegal immigrants coming off the buses. So that's another visual op that the media is covering that's getting individuals concerned in New York City. And what is even more amazing, and this is like shocking, and literally, I had to look at these stories 3 or 4 times to see if I was reading them properly, because I was just stunned. Amazingly, Biden is now taking a small step to actually secure the border. I'm just shocked. A very small step. Biden is implementing, wait for it, a return to Mexico border security policy for Venezuelans. Return to Mexico. Does that sound familiar? That was former President Trump's plan to deal with the border crisis. That is, if individuals came over illegally, you want to apply for asylum? All right, you go wait, but you go wait in Mexico. Biden is now implementing this out of nowhere, but just for Venezuelans. And remember, Biden got rid of Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, which is responsible for the flood of illegal immigrants flooding our country.
Right.
Again, I had to look at these news stories 2 or 3 times because I was just in shock. And according to NBC News, Venezuelans represent the largest group of illegal immigrants coming into the United States. The Biden plan will allow 24,000 Venezuelans to seek asylum in the U.S., but they're supposed to remain in Venezuela when they make the application. And here, there's actually some common sense, shockingly. These Venezuelans have to show that they're basically healthy, they have vaccinations, they're not a security risk, meaning that they haven't been a criminal, and they need to have an economic sponsor here in the United States.
Wait, who's doing this?
I was just stunned when I was reading this. And it is unbelievable, but it is, it is a small part of what Biden needs to do. But again, look at the timings. It is just, I run out of words to describe the shock that I have when I was going through these stories.
Yeah.
But in reality, this is a Band-Aid on the hemorrhaging of border security. Venezuelans may represent the largest group at this point, but we know there have been illegal immigrants coming from something like 150 different countries. And more recent stories in the New York Post have said that the Venezuelans are still coming over the border. They come over, they get sent back, and then they come right back over again. Look, if you traveled all the way from Venezuela and you walk into Texas and you get escorted out, are you going to go all the way back to Venezuela? No. Are you going to stay in Mexico? No, because they know there's an open border. They can get in some way, somehow. And once they do, and if they make it to New York City, guess what? They have guaranteed shelter and essentially guaranteed schools and guaranteed health care plan, because if you get hurt, you go to the emergency room.
Well, it's the lotto, right?
Well, it is for these
New York lotto,
right?
If they make it that far, and don't look, folks, don't be fooled. Wait, this is political. Again, Democrats think you're stupid. All of this is political. How many years, how many bodies have come across the border? It's all political. All they care about is staying in power, getting elected, and their policies, they know they suck. So that what they're going to do is just do and say anything so that you vote for them. That's it. New York State Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul and the New York City Mayor Eric Adams, they're taking credit, Dr. Tom. They're taking credit for the new Biden immigration plan. All right. All right. Whatever. Hochul is running for another term in a few weeks.
Shocking.
This is from, yeah. Now, this is from CBS News in New York. Governor Kathy Hochul, Mayor Eric Adams laud Biden administration's move to limit migrants crossing southern border. I can't even say these words without laughing out loud. The story says Hochul is taking credit for the new Biden policy. Quote, as the Biden administration takes the first steps to reduce the number of people entering the United States at the Mexican border, Governor Kathy Hochul is taking a victory lap, saying it is the result of intense lobbying on the part of herself and Mayor Eric Adams. People, they think you're stupid. How many times do we have to say that? They think you're stupid. They really do.
Well,
the obvious... Yeah.
What this does is this gives Hochul and Adams a soundbite. It actually gives the Biden and Democrats a soundbite, because we could claim Biden hasn't done anything of border security. Now they could say, oh yeah, we just implemented this Venezuelan policy. It gives them a little soundbite for their followers who unfortunately are not critical thinkers. They vote emotionally Democrat. If it's a Democrat, it's got to be good. They don't look at the policies. They don't look at the consequences of the policies. They don't look at any of that. So now there will be Democrats who will cling to this. Biden's actually doing something on border security.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's under control, right? Like now. Wow, whoopee. Well, so the obvious question is why? The short answer is the midterm elections. Illegal immigration is now one of the top issues of concern by voters in the upcoming elections. Rasmussen Reports has illegal immigration at number 6. And let's take a listen to Dr. Tom when he appeared on Newsmax over the weekend on their show, The Count, with host Mike Carter, discussing the Rasmussen Report poll.
That they are concerned about are violent crime, energy policy, with 87% concerned. High gas prices come in at 86%, inflation at 85% concerned, and the economy and illegal immigration coming in at 84%. And yet Democrats haven't attempted to touch any of these issues with a 10-foot pole until now. Democrats are now starting to come out of the woodwork to try and address voter issues to save themselves on election night. Pelosi, New York Governor Hochul, and New York City Mayor Eric Adams all of a sudden speaking truth about the border, the 6th most important issue for voters. How interesting. Joining us now to discuss is Newsmax contributor and insider Tom Borelli. Tom, I know you have been first on the scene to some of these midnight flights up in Westchester County. Why do Democrats all of a sudden care about this border issue? It's something that really was out in the open now for a year now. Now they seem to be closing ranks.
Well, Mike, I think what's happening here, there is panic in the Democrat Party on a number of issues, obviously led by inflation. But illegal immigration is now moving up that list, and the Rasmussen Reports poll shows that. And the reason why is because the red state governors led by Governor Greg Abbott in Texas have bussed illegal immigrants up to New York. New York has this right to shelter policy, and the illegals are overwhelming the system. And that is creating havoc and chaos in New York City. So much so that Mayor Eric Adams, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, is calling for $1 billion to deal with the problem. Governor Hochul is also worried about her election in a few weeks. So they're actually pressuring the Biden administration to do something because this panic is.
Well, good job, Dr. Tom. Good job.
Oh, well, thank you, Denise. No, I thought that was an important news hit there. It's always great being on Newsmax, especially on an important topic like this one. The Rasmussen Reports poll shows the ranking of issues that are most concerned to voters as the midterm approaches. And as you mentioned, illegal immigration was number 6. but it was very close to number 5, which was the economy. Now you know why the Democrats are panicking. If you have 82% of the public, the ones who are likely to vote, worried about illegal immigration, you'd be a fool not to try to do something to make yourself look a little bit better before the election.
No, you're absolutely right. But there's also a Reuters poll which has U.S. voters picking Republicans over Democrats to solve the immigration crisis. Quote, 40% of registered voters said Republicans were the party best suited to address immigration, compared to 32% who picked Democrats, end quote. And so the effort by Democrats to address immigration is an attempt to say, they did something, we're on the case, don't worry, nothing to see here. That's what that's all about. But they are the ones that are part of the problem, Dr. Tom, and we have been pointing this out forever. Now they can say something, but it's too little too late. The damage has already been done. And here's the other thing. They're only dealing with Venezuela. I mean, you mentioned that, and the number of other countries that we're having issues with. Not the other hundreds of other countries where illegals are coming from. They're only specifically calling out that they're doing something about Venezuela. But ironically, Biden removed former President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy for all migrants seeking entry into the U.S. So I think you sort of said this is like a Trump light thingy that they're doing, Dr. Tom. Not enough. Not enough. Not even close.
Well, first, again, we mentioned this. First thing President Biden did was end Remain in Mexico policy.
Right.
And hence we have this flood of illegal immigrants. Now he's implementing the Trump light plan, just focusing on Venezuelans. Why not do the whole thing? Well, that would be too far, because then the Democrats who like open borders would be upset. So they're trying to navigate this fine line of sprinkle a little border security here and hoping people don't expose them for the real frauds they really are when you look at the entire policies that Biden has implemented and the impact on the American people. But again, the Rasmussen Reports poll ranking the issues that are most concerned to voters, illegal immigration is right up there. And as you mentioned, it's too little, too late for the Democrats. They had, as you said, almost 2 years to deal with this. And with the clock running out with respect to the election, now they're scrambling to do something. And with respect to, is this going to be a political issue in the election? Absolutely. Not only do we have 82, 84% in the Rasmussen Reports poll that say they're very concerned about illegal immigration, let's not forget about that special election in Texas where Myra Flores won a Democrat seat that was held Democrat for over 100 years. It's a border district.
Yeah.
So that is a little focus group, a little test market in terms of what the American people are feeling with respect to border security. Obviously, a lot of Democrats in that congressional district voted for a Republican. And we only can hope that even some of those New York City liberal residents now understand that Biden's policies could affect their children's education. And these people need to connect the dot between policies and their lives and not view politics as a religion, as an emotional issue. Equate them, evaluate them, hold them accountable, just like sports fans do with their sporting teams.
Sure.
Right? There's very little negotiating room when it comes to sports, right? I think the New York Post reported Aaron Judge, the New York Yankee home run hitter who just beat Roger Maris's record, was booed. He was booed. He just broke the home run record, and he was booed because he won something for 0 for 7. Well, if New York City Yankee fans and other fans are booing Judge, why are they so silent on President Biden? and Adams and Hochul
Keep
and the
going.
whole thing.
Right.
Sports doesn't affect your life. It's enjoyment, it's entertainment. However, you have the wrong politician, as we've said, it could destroy your life, your livelihood, and now your children's education.
Democrats think you're stupid, folks. Well, there you have it, the truth in black and white. Hey, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. And remember, everyone has a role to play. What are you doing for liberty? Until next time.